two fighters, born for different worlds, reveal how geography shapes air combat.
Land-based fighters lean on long runways, large support areas, and strategic depth.
Carrier aviation is a space puzzle where every motion is controlled and every meter matters.
On land, the aircraft can be larger, serviced longer, and optimized for sustained air dominance.
A moving runway demands reinforced design and pilot discipline even before takeoff.
A fixed airfield offers length, margin, and flexibility for heavier loads and longer missions.
Carrier launches compress takeoff into an instant. Airframe strength and perfect timing are mandatory.
Land takeoffs trade catapult force for raw thrust, runway distance, and climb energy.
For naval fighters, refueling often turns a short-legged sprint into long-range presence. Land-based fighters can prioritize internal fuel and long patrol profiles over open territory.
A carrier approach is precision flying to a runway that never stops moving.
Land fighters emphasize wide area detection, interception, and air superiority control.
Folding wings are a carrier solution, compact storage for maximum sortie generation.
Without shipboard limits, land designs can grow for lift, range, and maneuver performance.
Arrested landings punish the airframe, but they make the ocean a runway.
Land bases offer long rollout distance and safer margins for recovery.
Over water, naval fighters specialize in maritime strike and fleet defense geometry.
Over land, speed, altitude, and persistence shape airspace control.
A carrier multi-role jet balances air-to-air readiness with strike options at sea.
A land-based fighter can prioritize extreme maneuverability and energy tactics.
At sea, night operations are routine. Tempo is a strategic weapon.
On land, defenses and infrastructure harden the base, but the base remains fixed. Fleet defense is layered. Fighters, sensors, ships, and timing, acting as one.
Land-based patrols guard airspace lines, responding quickly to distant alerts.
A carrier is a mobile airfield. Its location can rewrite the map overnight.
Land power relies on networks of bases, dispersal options, and logistics routes.
On a ship, maintenance favors speed, safety, and reliable modular procedures.
On land, deeper maintenance and more equipment enable extended readiness cycles.
Carrier planning is compressed. Short distances, fast decisions, strict timing.
Land bases scale planning with larger teams and longer mission windows.
Naval aviation lives with rough weather. Systems must perform when conditions do not cooperate.
Land operations can select windows, routes, and altitudes for best effect.
Fleet defense is about positioning, protecting high-value ships across moving geometry.
Homeland defense prioritizes intercept paths, coverage sectors, and rapid reaction. Carrier loadouts must respect deck weight, launch stress, and space limits.
Land bases support heavier configurations with fewer constraints and more time.
Recovery at sea is the final test. Fuel, timing, and sea state all matter.
Land recovery is safer, but it depends on a runway that can be threatened or targeted.
routes. The environment does not just host the fighter, it shapes what the fighter becomes. By the midpoint, the contrast is unmistakable. Mobility at sea versus endurance on land.
Naval sorties can repeat fast. Tempo is built into the carrier's rhythm. Land patrols can loiter longer, covering vast sectors with persistent presence.
Salt air and moisture demand robust materials and careful maintenance discipline.
Altitude and climb performance translate into positional advantage over land.
Carrier fighters operate as part of a network. Jet, ship, and sensor fused into one picture. Land fighters often train for self-reliant dominance, speed, sensors, and maneuvering.
Sea state adds pressure. Navigation must be perfect, and the pilot must stay calm.
Stability reduces risk, but land bases must guard against threats to fixed infrastructure.
On a carrier, every second saved becomes another aircraft airborne.
On land, longer servicing can increase readiness for extended missions.
Carrier aviation is repetition under pressure. Launch, recover, rearm, repeat. Land-based missions often emphasize duration, coverage, and sustained air presence.
A carrier can move closer to the fight, shortening distances and widening options.
Land fighters guard territory. Altitude, geography, and coverage sectors define their purpose.
The sea base is compact, crowded, and powerful, designed to generate sorties fast.
The land base is wide and deep, built for endurance, dispersal, and heavy support.
Life at sea shapes mindset. Everything is smaller, faster, and constantly moving.
On land, stability supports planning, training cycles, and sustained readiness.
Maritime strike demands low-level control and navigation over featureless water. Interception rewards speed, altitude, and decisive positioning over land. Over the sea, weather can close in fast. Systems must handle sudden changes. Over land, geography offers references, but it also creates choke points and defended zones. The carrier landing is controlled violence. Precision replaces runway distance. Hardened shelters protect assets, but they remain tied to a fixed location.
At sea, even parked aircraft live in the elements. Corrosion control is constant work.
On land, shelter reduces exposure, improving long-term sustainability.
Forward deployed sea air power can appear near any coastline without permission.
Land-based fighters turn geography into a shield and a launch pad for defense.
One base moves with the sea, the other spreads across the land like roots.
Different missions demand different strengths, and both fighters are built for their own arena.
Naval reach is sustained by logistics, fuel, timing, and coordination.
Fuel endurance shapes patrol time, intercept range, and the ability to stay on station.
At sea, operations run like a clock. Every launch and recovery is a practiced ritual. On land, operations can surge fast, then settle into goaded stillness.
The carrier is more than a base. It is the mission hub that moves with intent.
The land fighter's domain is vast. Coverage and response define its identity.
Different designs, same sky, each optimized for its own constraints.
The border between sea and land becomes the border between doctrines.
One projects power forward, the other holds the line with depth.
Different worlds, shared skies, each fighter dominant where it belongs.